This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
All right. So here's a ponderable to you, my friend.
Yeah.
So if it turns out that they can't come up with the magic elixir for the lethal injection and they decide they're going to firing squad him, do you think it's going to be streamed? I did, like, before you just, like, Allison looked at me like I'm crazy. She does not understand the world we're getting to, like, which surprises me.
I don't think
I think there would be a large segment of society.
I'd pay it.
It's part of the process.
I don't think there's the legal structure for that to ever happen yet. Could we get there? Yeah, I think we could get there. I think.
Well, what's the legal structure stopping it?
Well, I don't know. I would assume that there's something of you can't like live broadcast this. I mean, I know like they'll do, like the closed circuit for the families or whatever if they want to, those who are very much affected, the victims of this case. But I mean, is there any structure stopping it? Maybe there isn't. I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, other than like FCC regulations, obviously, like you make it ABC, NBC, CBS isn't going to broadcast, but we ain't that world anymore. Dude.
No, you could stream it. You could pay-per-view it. You could HBO it. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do.
That's what I'm trying to. And look, I'm suggesting it because, like I know at first blush it seems outrageous. But when you kind of look at where we came from as a country, where we used to hang people in the center square, and I mean, I know there's a lot of aspects of what's going on in our country now that seem to be trending back towards.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past it being a discussion somewhere because of the interest in the case, because of the fact of the volume of victims. Mm-hmm. And
it's not a crazy thought.
It's an interesting.
And it's not that. It just seems crazy to us because we've been brought up in a somewhat civil society, but if you go back a good 80 or so years, which in the big picture is not that long, they were doing that sort of, they didn't have streaming, but it was a town square. It was people were doing this.
That was the equivalent of streaming in the 1890s, man. Yeah. It was like, it's. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there would be the ACLU would obviously make a big push, and look, it's bad form.
It is. I mean, I hope we don't get there, but
I hope we don't either. But and I don't want people to confuse what I'm saying is that I'm a proponent of it because I'm not. Yeah. I'm anti-death penalty. I think there's no worse punishment than somebody being held in a cage for the entirety of their life, ripped away from every single thing that is a creature comfort that all the things we take for granted throughout the course of our day. That's all gone. Yeah. You're living in a fucking box. I don't get, it matters not that you get to watch TV for an hour a day outside and play checkers with other inmates. Everything that makes life worth living is lost. Yeah. And when you have to do that for the entirety of your life, you want to really punish somebody, that's how you do it, in my estimation.
No, so, I hear you.
Yeah, but like that thought pops in my head in terms of just like I could see us going there. I could see a move for that thing to be streamed.
I don't want it to happen.
I cannot think of.
Yeah. I don't want it to happen, but I could see myself buying
in the history of the United States.
Yeah. I don't want it to happen, but I could see myself going and saying, I'll buy it. I'll watch it.
Having a party, like a fucking super morbid, disgusting, like fucking execution party. But it's like, it's weird. Like I know a perfect example is last year, Abby and I were at CrimeCon, and somebody got sentenced. It may have been Chad Daybell. Mm-hmm. And I think that like we were out on the floor of CrimeCon when that sentencing went down, when he was given the death penalty, and the entire con like was cheering at the top of their lungs. It was crazy. I think I was on with Joel from STS, and we were both kind of like, wow, like this is the world we live in where we're cheering for the death penalty. But it is the world that we live in, and
it is. And these are vile,
very much an eye for an eye society.
It is, and these are vile creatures. I mean, we're not. I mean, if it is him, if he did do this, I'm no pity. Fine, get rid of him. I don't care. But yeah, it is weird, the kind of place that we're at. I completely agree with that. Let me ask you this, though, in closing. Now that we know this publicly, I mean, they've known it, obviously behind the scenes forever. It's been in Discovery. And I think Ann Taylor has been trying to exhaust every option that she possibly can. It's her job, and she's doing pretty good at that. But now we're like, okay, this stuff is coming out. He bought the knife. I mean, is this going to make it to trial? Is there any way that this wouldn't make it to trial at this point? Or might they come back and say, okay, well, maybe
no?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Tony, you got to look at it. She's known all this.
Yeah.
She's like, none of this, it's only a surprise to us.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this is new to Ann Taylor. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
She's a death penalty certified attorney.
Yeah.
She's doing her job with the utmost integrity. She's filing everything that needs to be filed in the case of this nature. She's a phenomenal attorney.
Yeah.
And she's got and the more that we're seeing, the more people should appreciate just how fucking hard this case is from a defense attorney's perspective.
Sure.
Like, people forget about that. People always it's like the respect level for defense attorneys is growing on a daily basis as we see these cases where people start to understand why we matter, why we're so important to the system. I mean, kind of the more just corruption that comes out between, with cops, prosecutors, just understanding that they don't always get it right and that they just refuse to walk shit back, and that we have rights as citizens and that defense attorneys are the ones who protect it. So I think she's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I think that she's protecting his rights, but as far as there's absolutely no benefit to her not going to trial.
Yeah.
Or, and ultimately it's Bryan Kohberger's choice, not hers. Like, she can of course advise him, but like they're seeking the death penalty. Yeah. There's zero chance that they're not going to try to go to trial on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got nothing to lose.
I mean,
even if they took death penalty off and they're offering, you still have nothing to lose.
True. I mean, do you see a world where they may throw that out there of saying, okay, death penalty off the table if you plead guilty, and we can just end this now?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the X factor in that is that you have to hope that Bryan Kohberger has the humanity to not put those parents through that fucking nightmare of a trial.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, that, like, it all hinges on that one thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because if he's got the humanity to say, you know what? I've been sitting here now for 2 years, and I've had an awful lot of time to think about this. I probably what I've done, and I feel that the way that I can do it, and Ann's going to be telling him, look, Bryan, like, this is not magic tongue, silver tongue thing where I go in and we just win this case. They have a lot of damning. Like, she knows everything that they have. Yeah. So she's having pragmatic conversations, maybe with her client, depending on what his state of mind is.
Yeah. And is he receptive?
Or
that's
depending on whether or not he's willing to listen.
Yeah.
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 So it's but like that, ultimately, whether or not this thing goes to trial depends on one person alone, and that's Bryan Kohberger. Yeah. And the only way you're convincing him to take a plea is if he actually feels like giving some grace, with like the smallest form of grace that he has available to him, or actually probably the largest amount of grace he could give, is to not put those families through the torture of going to trial. And like, obviously that does nothing in their minds, but at least he spares them that.
And I think the answer to does he have humanity, if it's him, is answered in that picture.
Exactly.
Not holding my breath for humanity here at all.
Either.
He was charming, handsome, a devoted husband, a doting father. When his wife died tragically in a freak accident, everyone pitied him. He played the role so well. Grieving widower, devastated, single dad, just trying to put the pieces back together. But the thing about perfect men, they're usually hiding something. And this one was hiding everything. The affair, the insurance policy, the other wife in another state who had no idea she was married to a walking crime scene. If she had only subscribed to True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, she could have listened to Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski ad-free. And before everyone else, she could have seen through the lies. She could have gotten out while she still had the chance. Instead, she's just another case we'll be covering next week. Don't be her. Subscribe now to True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts.